Bill, it's always a pleasure to have you with us. You are our expert on all things having to do with really the history of Christianity in the world and how it's affected things. On a very broad level, what kind of world would it be if Jesus Christ had never come into it?
It would be a dictatorship. The most common form of government in world history is a king. From the beginning of the invention of writing, Sumerian cuneiform on clay tablets in the Mesopotamian Valley, today that's Iraq, you have Nimrod, pharaohs, 2,000 years of pharaohs, 5,000 years of Chinese emperors, Indian Maharaja, Genghis Khan, Julius Caesar, Attila the Hun. As the centuries go on, the kingdoms get bigger, till the King of England was the biggest. And America's founders decided they wanted to break away from this globalist king, and they flipped it and made the people the king.
There is a lot of false history that we're taught that tells us that America was founded as a secular nation, that we have a secular constitution and so forth. In reality, it has been said that without Jesus Christ, there is no America. Do you think that's an accurate statement?
I do. And what I have done is I've read through every charter of every colony. Every colony was founded by a different Christian denomination. Virginia was Anglican, Massachusetts was Puritan, Rhode Island was Baptist, New York was Dutch Reformed, Delaware and New Jersey were Swedish Lutheran, Pennsylvania, Quaker, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Congregationalist, and they did not get along. They would tar and feather each other, but then they had to work together against the King of England during the Revolution. Afterwards, their attitude was, we may not always agree on religion, but you were willing to fight for my freedom. I need to let you practice your faith. So they began to tolerate each other.
With this idea of limited government comes the requirement of self-government. That, in other words, there has to be a control somewhere, and either the government's going to control us or we're going to control ourselves. Our founding fathers recognized that religion, as they called it, and let's be honest, what they really meant was Christianity, was necessary for that self-government to take place. Help us make that connection.
At the time of the founding, 98% of the country was Protestant. About 3 million people were in the country, about 1% Catholic, about 30,000 Catholics. And Catholics were only allowed in 3 colonies, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York. And there was only 0.1% Jewish, 3,000 Jews in a country of 3 million. There were only 7 synagogues in the entire country at the time of the Revolution. The God of the Bible says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So you take the power of a king, separate it into the hands of the people, it's chaos unless they have internal morals. Why do they follow these? They're accountable to the God of the Bible. So when we say it's one nation under God, and obviously, as I mentioned, 98% of the country was Protestant, 1% Catholic, and then 0.1% Jewish, they're referring to the God of the Bible. And so this is what the founders understood. They looked back to ancient Israel, the first 400 years that Israel came out of Egypt. It's called the Hebrew Republic, before they got King Saul. And so it's the first instance in all of recorded history of a nation with millions of people and no king. So America's founders, specifically in colonial New England, they looked back to this period and they said, for us to have a government without a king ruling through fear, and it's the people ruling, the people need to be taught the law. The church has a place in society to teach people the morals, the gospel, the Sermon on the Mount. And why do they follow this? They're personally accountable to God.
Thanks, Bill. We greatly appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.